your hosts, Rain Carnegie and Britt Loveson.
Welcome to episode 3 of Part of the Game. Your hosts, Rain Carnegie.
What's going on, guys and gals?
And Britton Loveson.
Be love in the house.
Should I give you maybe like the Rain Carnegie and the Britton Loveson?
I think that maybe we need to be more like Britton Loveson and Rain Storm Carnegie.
Storm. He threw
Switched
the
it up.
Storm in there.
Switch it up. Today I'm feeling, I got my Grand Slammers. Just a little shout out to my boy Chris Blackwood, doing big things in the Jane and Finch community. This is his brand, Grand Slammers. Support the brand that supports your grind. And
Nice.
Shout out to Chris Blackwood and everything that he's doing in the Jane and Finch community. As you know, that's where I was born and raised, and it's important that we see strong leaders like Chris Blackwood and his family that give back to the community. So shout out to Chris Blackwood and Grand Slammers. Thank you for the hoodie. Appreciate it.
Maybe I get myself one of those too. What's going on here?
I don't think they have youth small.
Come on now. Hey, I'm losing a few pounds. I had those, pounds gaining on me, but I trimmed the beard a little bit.
You forgot to trim the hair.
I think the hair is actually...
And I'm chirping you right now as I got the fresh lineup going because I'm fortunate that I live, in a district. I live in a district that barbershops are allowed to, open with
Lucky you.
Yeah, hi. Well, clearly, not lucky you. I apologize for that, by the way.
That was a big penalty, all right? Because I'm going here with my hockey hair.
You look like a caveman. You look like a caveman. I just wanted to make sure that we kept it a little bit prim and proper.
You're looking good, kid.
Hey,
You're looking good, kid.
Somebody had to, right?
We got a great... Well, yeah, exactly. Somebody had to, and I'm glad it was me.
You got the brains. You got the brains. That's why, you're the main host.
Appreciate that. We got a great episode for you guys. We're going to be talking limited ice time and life without puck right now.
It's crazy. It is so difficult, when hockey's such a big part of our existence, right? It's challenging. So we're going to dive into that in this episode.
For sure. And we're talking struggles for us coaches and how are we planning our season and putting a team together. And
what plan?
Exactly.
What plan? We keep on having these milestones and these goalposts that keep on, it seems, moving further and further and further away when we're trying to go barring in.
Exactly.
We're trying to go barring in and they keep moving those goalposts. How are we supposed to score if we don't know where the goalpost is? You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous.
And we can't stretch them.
We can't do a lot of things. It's a difficult time right now, and it's hard to have any structure. That's why you have to kind of do a little freestyle, and take what you can get, literally, with what's going on right now.
And of course, stick around to the end of our episode where we do penalty
or part of the game.
That's always
Let's
fun.
go!
And we've been loving all the love we've been getting on our socials.
Thank you so much.
Our second episode is out with the great Michaela Grant-Mentis.
Well, it's so, that interview that we did with that special, woman who's changing the game, and his family, to me, like, wow, she
was really great, man.
She stole the
show.
She stole the show just like she's doing right now in the NWHL, right?
Exactly.
Like it's her world, and we're just happy that we're living in it, and we're so fortunate to have wonderful people and wonderful families like that, and their father James Mentis, who obviously was a mentor of mine. So shout out to the Mentis family.
Absolutely, Chicky. The
Chicky.
chick magnet.
No, follow mama hen, but love you, Chicky.
So before we dive into all our topics today, I just want to show you my, eclectic, beautiful group of trinkets.
Every single time I'm in here with you, there seems to be another one. I'm just waiting for the big House League trophy that you probably won back in 1989 that you're going to have right here, and it's just going to cover my face. I'm not going to be able to see anybody. Like all I have is my little mug and my phone. And this guy, every single time, like, where did this come from? Like, what is this? What's the story behind?
So the story behind this is actually, because it's my 5th year as a coach.
Okay.
And, every around Christmas time, you get awesome gifts from the parents because they appreciate the coaches.
Wow.
And this was filled with something else. We won't talk about what was in there.
Okay, water,
it's
right?
empty now. Yeah, maybe water, maybe a little
holy
Gatorade
water,
or something.
holy water to like get rid of your sins.
But yeah, that was a gift. I think it was from I might know the Poma family.
Oh,
So,
shout out
to the Poma family.
How you
Great
guys doing?
family, love
Great
them.
family. Where is my trinket of holy water in a hockey player vase?
Yeah, well,
I like Christmas
it's
gifts
empty
too.
now though, so we might have to refill it with that holy water. But and also before we jump in, I just want to shout out Jason Ricci.
Reach.
I saw Reach the other day.
I saw him the other day too on a Zoom.
His
What's up, Richie?
program, All-Star Hockey. He's doing great things. Ricci's the man,
He is the
He's
man.
just
He's
like-
been around for a long time, and he's one of those guys that's in it for the right reasons, I feel.
for sure.
I have nothing but love and respect for that man. And, every time I talk to parents that work with him, they seem to say nothing but good things. I wonder how much he probably paid them for that kind of publicity.
Absolutely. But, it's funny because, a couple years ago when I first met him and he was running a skate for our team. And, Tom was like, hey, make sure you're checking out the guys and, making sure people are doing what. And I'm like, Tom, I'm watching Reach. I'm watching how he's running a skate here. This flow is amazing.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, skates years ago. What's everybody been doing, Britt, with, not being able to marvel over guys like Jason Ricci running sessions and doing what they do. It's, it's been difficult, to do anything, and in terms of, this season, not knowing, are we playing, are we not? There hasn't really been much communication, not that I'm aware of anyway. And not to, make a slight to anybody. It's just, we don't know what we don't know.
All the unknowns right now.
All the unknowns right now. And for me as a first-year head coach, it's been difficult and challenging at times trying to, navigate. I'm fortunate enough, I live in Durham. So I've been able to, with Durham moving into red, some facilities out there have opened up. So I've been able to run my program, Own Aces, and I've been able to get some athletes that are from surrounding areas out for skates and through our program and training sessions and all those things. But I have a lot of friends that live in areas that aren't as fortunate as us. And, it's been extremely, hard on them. And I sympathize with, you're in Toronto,
Yeah.
like here we are,
tough.
with the, there's been no real communication as to, is the season shut off? Is there, when does next season start? So it leaves a lot of, people in purgatory, what do we do? And everybody's looking for answers. And hopefully soon we'll get some of them, obviously numbers haven't been going in the direction that we'd like to see, but vaccines are coming around now, and hopefully with that, there's going to be, some herd immunity that gets established and allows us, because the mental health of these athletes, and not only these athletes, these parents, right? Like we told you, parents, we're not going to be done with you guys. This is, hopefully a podcast that can help educate everybody, but these parents are also jonesing a little bit, because this has been a big part of their Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights, tournaments, the social aspect, the parking lot pimping, all of those things.
The Tim Hortons and the donuts in the parking lot. Let's dive into it. How are we adapting right now off ice? And, what can we do to keep that kind of rink rust away for our young athletes?
Well, for me, communication is everything right now. And, for the program that I have through my company, Own Aces, what we try to do is make sure, first and foremost, that everybody's doing okay, right? So that communication, that verbal communication right now, to have those touch points to make sure that everybody still feels connected, because we're now on day 458 or whatever it is. And when you're dealing with young minds, it's hard to keep them engaged in something that they don't know when they're going to be able to actually reach it, right? So, I'd say communication is huge. And like I said, I'm fortunate because I'm able to get some athletes to train with me right now out in Durham. So, what have you been doing? How are you able to, you have a new program. You guys have a bunch of, players that are reaching out to you guys as the new head coaches of an 06 team going into a draft year with all the uncertainty.
You don't even want to know the controversies. It's been tough, but we're same thing. We're almost having to find, what a player had done 2 seasons ago.
Right.
Because, last season there wasn't a season. Right. And, a lot of coaches who did get a team last season, they kind of had a lot of players stick with them because they didn't get to see the full program. Right. They kind of missed out on their games and stuff, and they only got to practice. But, a lot of players kind of had that loyalty with that organization. Right. And I must say it's been a real struggle. Because luckily we're back into a loop that we're familiar with, the 06 loop, but it definitely has been a big struggle trying to put a team together
and
with no skates. It's all skates.
And also it's not just the 06 age group, and I apologize, it's a little bit warm in here. I'm starting to fritz a little bit.
Because our producer and our landlord hasn't been paying the AC bill around here, in the magic of television, he has magically changed out of that beautiful grind sweater into
Grand
this
Slammer
lovely
sweater, into this lovely salmon sweater or long sleeve shirt. Because guys, I'm a big boy. I'm a bear, right? I overheat easily. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Now my undershirt's going to be my sweat rag for the rest of this episode.
I like it.
Right? That way, and I used to be this way. Even when I was working downtown Bay Street, I used to be the guy in a nice suit and a tie, and I would always have a little cloth with me in the summertime because I was always schwitzing. Always, without fail. So this is not something new. This is something old that I'm bringing back to show you guys that, hey, big people problems. Sometimes if you overheat, the furnace gets a little bit too hot, you need to take a layer off and strip down. So I apologize for that, wardrobe malfunction.
That's okay.
I feel like this makes me look thinner anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Brings out my features.
But you could have also stayed sweating and probably gotten thinner.
Oh, for sure. But if we didn't have 30 minutes of outtakes before we started, I would have been cool, calm, and collected too. So, but back to what we were talking about.
Back to what we were talking about. We're talking about, struggles with the hockey world right now and how we're adapting. So, with adaptation comes... how are we dealing with getting ice time, and how expensive is ice time?
It's I've heard horror stories right now of families booking ice and then going to their skate and then only to find out that they've been booted because somebody paid more. Wow. So it's like price war, right? It's because we've been shut down for so long that these owner operators need to recoup the losses from being shut down for an extended period of time, and it's made it extremely difficult. And you're only allowed in Durham anyway, you're only allowed 10 skaters on the ice. Whereas back before this whole pandemic that we're in, we were able to get your whole team. Or, you could get a program of, 15 to 25 kids, and that would help bring hockey. We talked about the cost of hockey being so high before. It's only gone up because of the lack of ice time, supply and demand. So when you have, a limited supply and a lot of demand, just like in the housing market right now that we're seeing is there's a house on my street selling for $1 million that I wouldn't buy for 10, but that's the world that we're in right now. And it's hard. I get phone calls all the time. It's now there's a certain date that you're allowed to put your next year's coaches on your website. So now, just recently, I think last week, I was just added on to the Young Nats website as the coach going into 2021, 2022. So I'm fielding a lot of phone calls, from families.
We talked about that. You got the different phone bill plan.
The new phone plan, but I'm getting a lot of phone calls. And it's not necessarily, what you would think. It's not necessarily, hey, we want to get in front of you. That's a lot of them. We want to get in front of you. We want to, to see if there's a spot on your team and all that stuff. And and you know, but oftentimes is, hey, we're just looking to get ice. You know, like we know that maybe we're not ready for AAA, or maybe they're not even the same age group. They're just reaching out because they know that I live in Durham and that I have a program that I'm running out in Durham, and like
And you have ice.
and I have
So
ice.
you're not only the most popular kid in school because you're the new head coach of the 08 Nats.
Yeah.
But you're now the most popular kid
because
you
I'm the
actually
dealer.
have
I'm the dealer
you
right now.
actually have
Like,
ice.
I have ice right
So
now.
let me ask you now that so if you do get a skate together, you know, with Own Aces in your program,
Yep.
you know, we're kind of when we started out in this coaching world, we kind of, you know, structured our skates or our evaluations or our programs around, you know, 20 to 25 skaters. And, you know, we had a lot of drills. You know, we probably got more drills than we needed, but we're prepared because we were prepared for that. How are we adapting now to only having 10 kids to work with? And you have a full sheet of ice to work on. And how do you, you know,
yeah, it's
like,
difficult. It's difficult to plan anything other than a skill session. You know, you can't teach gameplay right now. There are no games.
Yeah.
You can't do 3-on-3. You can't do 1-on-1. You can't do 2-on-1s. You can't, you know, so you're really having to be creative, you know, and to your point, you know, it's exhausting for these kids as well, you know, depending on their level of play too. You know, when you're used to having 20, 25 kids on the ice, you know, kids are able to be fresh throughout the course of their training session. Now, halfway through, depending on what you're working on, they could be gassed. So then you also have to add on to the fact that, okay, we have to space this out. We have to make sure that, you know, the kids are staying hydrated. There's all these things. But then the biggest concern that I have is, let's say that you have a program like we do, where we work with, you know, I had 27 families that I worked with prior to being the coach of the Nationals, that, you know, were, you know, part of my program for the last year, you know, and it's every, you know, my program's a monthly program. You know, so we market it to first the 27 families that are part of our program, and then the Nationals, and then whoever else, if we get there. And oftentimes we don't even get to that third list, and it's unfortunate. But you try to, even with your team. You know, it's hard to get everybody on the ice because your numbers are capped, and you have more than 10 on a roster. So how are you equitable? You know, and unfortunately, the only thing that we could think of at Own Aces was first come, first serve.
Yeah.
You know, and once you're in the program, you stay in the program. And if you want to continue in the program, great. And if you don't, then we, you know, go back to the waiting list and market it to the rest of the world. There's kids that are on the Nats that haven't skated with me because, you know, they couldn't, nobody dropped out because I'm the most popular guy because I live in Durham with ice, right? So it's been challenging to say the least. It's been challenging to say the least.
And again, like, so when we did have our teams for last year, if you're a part of a team or whatever during the lockdown with no season, you know, we were having these skates and stuff. Like you said, the struggles, you could only have half your team. And, you know, you're kind of splitting the forwards. You're only doing skills with them. Then you got the like it's been a kind of a struggle to adapt to. Yeah. But what I kind of found funny, what you were touching on about, you know, the parents kind of missing that social aspect, is that they were almost, it was like a concert, and they were trying to sneak into the building. And
that's the best.
The back door would be like open, and one parent's trying to catch a glimpse at, you know, that's what we love about parents too.
Well, and that's what we love about the game of hockey.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
Is being
we might be hard on parents, but
we love parents. But like that's what, like for me, that's what makes hockey is, you know, performing for the fans, and the fans in minor hockey are the parents. Are the parents though, right? So like there's such an important part to the minor hockey experience, and like I feel like crap for the parents who, you know, are forced to pay more money because of the limited numbers, and can't even watch their investment half the time. You know, so like who's to say? And this goes back to, you know, hopefully they're in the right program with the right coaches who are prepared and take their craft seriously and development seriously, you know, but, you know, sometimes that's not the case. And now there's nobody to police, you know, the program as well, except for the kids to be like, and you know, a lot of the kids that I work with, when you ask them how the skate was, they're just like, yeah, it was good. and that's all you get.
Yeah.
You know, so like, how are you able to, as the parent, evaluate the development if you have a kid that might not give you the answers that you're necessarily looking for?
Sure.
It's been, you know, a challenge for everybody. You know, this whole situation
brutal.
that we're in right now is like, you know, unprecedented. You know, and like, there's no, you know, good answer. There's no right answer. You know, everything is just opinion right now because there hasn't been any clear lines. Not that I can, you know, make out. Can you make out any of the clear, like we don't know what's up and what's down, you know? So like, that's why I said communication again, you know, being honest, you know, and having those honest conversations. Like, some of the conversations that I have to have right now is, you know, I know that you want to be a part of our program. Maybe it's because you want to skate with me, or maybe it's because you just want to skate, you know, but unfortunately, you know, given the, and like, those are tough conversations for anybody to have. They're really tough conversations for me to have because, you know, you've worked with these families for a while now. You know, they've come out, they've supported. The kid has worked extremely hard, and all of a sudden there's no season, there's no nothing, and you're just like, okay, well, I have to get the next tranche of 10 in, and you know, like, it's like a juggling act. And
That's a major struggle. So like, you know, putting a team together now, we're in almost in April.
Yeah.
Usually, you know, you kind of have an idea of who's going to be on your team next year, and you know, that's almost done. What would you say, like, towards the end of the season prior to your new season?
I think that everybody's different, you know. For, you know, most teams, they know if their core is coming back the following year.
That's what I mean, like the cores and stuff that are coming back. But I'm kind of wondering, say, you know, usually there's a couple spots, but what if you were getting closer and there might be a season and you have all your spots available? Like, that's kind of certain situations for certain organizations
100%,
and coaches right now.
100%, and you know, I wouldn't want to be one of them.
Yeah.
You know, that has to build from scratch and not being able to see anybody play a game. And you know, one thing that, you know, you have to be cognizant of, and I hope coaches, you know, who are talking to families or whatever, are mindful of this, is, you know, that old practice player or game player. You know, what looks good in practice might be a fugazi in a game. What looks good, you know, but looks good in the game might look like crap in the practice. Like, I'll tell you this right now, there would be no Halifax Mooseheads, no first round, no nothing for me had it been, you know, just not watching me at practice, right? They'd be like, yo, who is this guy? like, nah, bun this guy, like, on to, you know, but in a game, there's like, practice?
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about practice? Like, I was a little bit Allen Iverson. Like, I was one of those guys, you know, it came easy, you know, but like, if you're in a position right now where you're basing your program off of practices and then the season starts, you might have a bunch of fugazis. So like, how do you manage, you know, how do you manage those expectations with families that you are interested in? You know, you would love to be able to meet their timelines, because all the parents, they want the commitments before tryouts.
Absolutely.
Right? And like, nobody wants to wait. And we're in such a, you know, instant gratification, you know, demographic right now, where everybody just wants to be, you know, wants the answers right now, that, you know, it's hard, you know, to, you know, you like the kid, you like the family, but you've never seen them play. Like even if they've been skating with you for a few months,
Still
you've never.
Not a game situation.
You know, but then compound that with, you know, they have other options. Maybe at the AAA level, maybe at the AA level, and now they're getting the pressure. They really want to be a part of your program, but they're getting the pressure from other teams. You know, how do we manage those expectations, right? And I think that the answer, and at least for me, is, you know, until all of us coaches can see these families in game situations, I think that that's the route that, you know, everybody should be taking, and being patient. You know, if you're a part of a program and you're able to get ice right now, just be happy that you're a part of a program and you're able to get ice. You know, instead of focusing on what next year is going to look like, we don't even know what this year is going to look like. Right? So my message would be, you know, during this unprecedented time that we're in, just be thankful for whatever we get right now. And if you're a part of a program, or you're a part of a skills training, a skills company that you know, does really good work, and you're able to get on the ice, just be thankful that you're able to get on the ice and stop thinking about, okay, this kid, that kid, this kid, that kid, what you hear there, what you hear there. Oftentimes they're lies. You know, there was a story going out that my team was full. We're not even anywhere close to being full.
Of course.
You know, so like it's like
how could you be?
it's like you know, these are the stories that you know, families unfortunately sometimes buy into. And you know, it's unfortunate, and that's why I talked about, like, you know, when we're talking about committing and decommitting and parents and this, that, the other thing, is it the parents or is it the coaches? You know, I think that if it was us coaches and if we just self-policed and said, listen, this is what it is. We're not going to be bought. We're not going to be this. We're not going to be that. Like, this is what it is. We're here for the right reasons. Then
I think most coaches are kind of under that, you know, same.
I would hope.
Same impression.
I would hope,
that
but
you
when I
kind
talk
of
to
did.
some of these parents, everybody, and it could just be, you know, they bought a lemon, right? And sometimes, you know, that happens. You know, how many lemons have I bought in my life? You know, a lot. And you know, that's what drives me, is to make sure that the program that I run through Owen Aces isn't a lemon.
Isn't a lemon, yeah.
Isn't a lemon, and that what I say, I actually do.
Yeah,
And I just hope that it's, you know, all across the board.
for sure.
All across
Well,
the
like,
board.
essentially, these athletes, they've missed a year. They're,
2 almost.
Well, yeah, going into this year, it could
Like,
be
we-
two.
like-
It could be 2, but one full year. Like for instance, you know, say the kids that were supposed to start contact, you know, that I think it's under 13 or
07,
under
07,
14.
like 07s were supposed to be born in 2007.
So-
We're supposed to start contact this
Yeah,
year.
and like how much is it on, you know, the coaches in those practices to, like,
Well, we
with
can't
10
even.
guys,
But you
teach
can't-
them how to,
but you- but-
absorb
but-
a hit or take a hit or
But you're
throw
not
a
even
hit?
allowed to because of the restrictions.
Exactly.
So, like-
it's social. You got to social distance.
You gotta
sort
social
of.
distance.
And so contact is, you know, and I kind of wanted to touch on that. Like, you know, the I guess it would be the 05 group.
Yep.
That was supposed to be their big year.
This is their big
to
year this year.
shine, right?
Yeah.
And now going into this year, it will be the 06 group. What if they miss out on a year? How are the scouts and the OHL teams and the QJMHL teams and the junior A's, the junior? How are they gonna, you know?
It's been, you know, I talk with some
Sift through
some
the-
OHL teams. You know, I've done some presentations with OHL and Quebec Junior Hockey League teams, and you know, it's been a challenge. You know, Quebec Junior Hockey, like, luckily in the Maritimes, they've been, you know, allowed to, you know, play hockey. You know, and it makes it difficult when you live in Ontario and you haven't been able to play. Now there's talk, and I'm hopeful that they actually get a chance to, you know, have some kind of season to allow them to showcase themselves to the next
gotta be
level.
something.
Whether it's you know, school, whether it's pro, whatever it is, you know, I'm hopeful that they're going to be able to come to some sort of, you know, there's talks of hub cities. I'm hopeful that they're going to be able to come to some sort of understanding, so that those families that are playing in the junior ranks get an opportunity to get that exposure, because I feel terrible for the overagers, you know, that are playing in the Ontario
that
Hockey
too,
League.
the ones who kind of
Or junior, like the last year in junior, the last year in minor hockey. You know, what a terrible situation to be in, you know, and it's it breaks my heart. But hopefully, you know, with the vaccine, and, you know, if we do our part, then
for sure.
hopefully
And then I guess, you know, talking about the season that we missed and stuff, and then not even being able to go on the ice. There was a point where it didn't matter if you're from Durham or anywhere. There was nothing there.
Province-wide.
It was province-wide.
Yep.
And I guess let's kind of talk about what, you know, maybe your program, besides, you know, you touched on some really great things about communication. You know, not too many people think about that. How important just a phone call is, checking in. How you doing? You know, like, hey, Rain here, still thinking about you. You know, love the family. You know, miss all the good stuff we have together. How important that is. But, you know, and aside from the communication thing, though, what were kind of things that you were, you know, giving? Were you giving any lessons or what you could do off ice? Or, you know,
like for
any skills things that we could do?
So during the lockdown, you know, for skill instructors that make their living, you know, teaching kids to play any sport, you know, they had to go to the drawing board. You know, how are we going to offer program when we can't offer program, right? So we had to digitize.
Yeah.
We had to get virtual, you know? And, you know, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the NHL BIPOC Coaching Association, which allowed us to get access to a lot of cool programs that the NHL coaches use. And I started offering out those services. I started offering out, you know, game analysis, video review. You know, I started doing, you know, stick handling sessions virtually. And you know, because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of things that have come out of it positively. I see a lot of these now online virtual training programs that a lot of different, you know, skills instructors have developed that are amazing. That had this pandemic not happened, I doubt, you know, I could be wrong, but I doubt would have been so prevalent in the marketplace right now. So, you know, while, you know, hockey as in traditionalist terms hasn't been, you know, available to us, there's been ways that, you know, we can still connect, we can still be active, but again, you have to have all of those capabilities at your house to be able to do that, you know, and I don't know if I would have been able to participate in all these virtual stuff because we didn't have computers or laptops like kids have now, like our family, you know, and there's lots of families that play hockey that don't have that kind of access as well. So it's you know, it's difficult, man. Like they're like you know, you have to. It really takes a village to socially distance and develop during these times. Keep the development going because whereas before it could just be a coach and his guys and they go to practice, they go to their game and do all that, and like it was just one beating drum you could go, you know, that virtually I think is difficult because, you know, depending on how old the kids are, you know, their attention span, you know? So we always have to think of different ways to, you know, keep these kids engaged, keep these kids, you know, motivated to keep on pushing when, you know, a lot of times they have nothing to push for because, you know, they're in lockdown.
Yeah. Well, like my bit of advice, some parents were keeping in touch and, you know, I'm sorry, coach, our season ended like this. And same thing. Do you have anything, advice that we could, you know, use to still develop our kids? And, you know, and something that really helped me, you know, growing up and, you know, translating to the ice was rollerblades. And roller hockey, man, like
my son, the same thing, right?
We would shut down our entire block, and some kids didn't have rollerblades, you know, and we let them play still. They're kind of at an advantage. They're a little more sturdier on their feet. But we'd have these big games, and obviously, you know, you can't have those as well during the lockdown. But, yeah, I was kind of saying, you know, does he have a pair of rollerblades? Can you guys afford a pair of rollerblades? Because it really can translate
onto the ice.
Onto the ice.
100%. Right? And I think that's what a lot of families did as an alternative.
Yeah.
You know, it was, you know, I think Marsblade probably had their
They
probably had their biggest year of sales because everything was on back order during the first lockdown. And, you know, we were no different. We got our son a pair. We didn't get a Marsblades. It was a little bit too expensive. But we definitely got him a pair of rollerblades.
Well, the cool thing about that company, I think they tried to say that it was the most realistic to skating. Right? And you'll feel like you're on the ice. Great marketing.
Great marketing. Don't know if it's true. I've never tried them. Well, Marsblade, I mean, if you want to, you know, give us a down, whatever. But
Marsblade, holler.
But no, like I have, you know, athletes that I trained virtually that would put on the rollerblades because there was no ice in the summertime. There's no outdoor rinks now, and this is where we're going to have another, you know, challenge again. You know, these virtual programs that, you know, were developed because of COVID when we first, you know, entered this pandemic. You know, now there's no outdoor rinks. Toronto's still locked down. Peel's still locked down. Numbers going in the wrong direction. rumors that more lockdowns to come.
For sure. We're going to hit the dog days of summer,
We're going to
too.
hit the dog days of summer,
you know,
so we're going to have to get back to the drawing board as to how do we safely, keep these kids engaged, keep them motivated, and keep that development because, our neighbors south of the border, they're still playing.
Yeah.
They're still playing,
sure.
and in other provinces, and not to knock our government because I love our government.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be that politic
Yeah,
guy,
we're not.
but I'm just saying, like facts are facts.
Yeah.
Everywhere else it seems outside of Ontario is playing hockey. So when we go to junior or we go to a tournament for minor hockey, whenever things go back up, our kids in Ontario are being left behind because they're not getting that same access to opportunity.
And there's only so much coaching staff and programs and
parents
could do. Like,
but
it's not a lot, but
that's what I'm saying. There's not anything.
There's
not anything.
Exactly.
There's literally playoffs and tournaments happening right now, 5-on-5 all across North America except for Ontario.
Yeah.
Right. So when we talk about the fear of missing out, and me being the most popular kid in school, it's because the fear of missing out is so real because of all of the, lack of supply. A lot of demand, lack of supply, and the fear of missing out because of the global impact of the sport of hockey. Everybody has the aspirations, like you said, you want to be a hockey player as a kid, I want to be a hockey player as a kid. So there's a lot of pressure that these kids put on themselves, there's a lot of pressure that the parents put on the kids, and there's nowhere to vent that energy. Unless you're one of the lucky 10 that lives in these regions that are open that get to go on the ice. So it makes it extremely...
a major setback, too, for those Ontario kids right now, or anywhere that's prohibited. That's been locked prohibited down from playing hockey.
Right, and not only hockey, right? It's everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything,
for
right?
sure.
Where it's difficult to navigate. I feel it's difficult to navigate. The fairness. Like how is it fair that we're not able to do what our neighbors all around us are doing? And I'm very blessed that I live in Durham.
Yeah.
And knock on wood that we're able to continue to offer our program. But yeah, as we get into the dog days of summer. Like I was sweating, like it's hot in here, right?
Summer's not going to be treating you well, eh?
Summer has never treated me well except for my tan. Makes me look good in this shirt. But, it's going to be, extremely important that for, coaches, teachers, everybody, just to check in. And think outside the box and get creative.
For sure.
All these coaches are just like, okay, we're dumping the puck in. Don't use your creativity. No. Now we need everybody to use their creativity.
That's
to make sure that we're bringing that developmental piece that the kids are missing right now in some way, shape, or form, right? And for me, digitizing part of my program has allowed me to offer our kids something different than they wouldn't have been, afforded before. And as I continue to build out that craft, hopefully it gets more and more traction. And but it's crappy. It's crappy.
And then like going back to the group that's supposed to get drafted to the juniors next year. And like move on and move forward with their career.
Like I think back to my junior career, like this was the best year, or should have been like the best year of my career.
To showcase,
right? And like I said, I talk to junior GMs and scouts all the time, and they're just like we don't know what's up and what's down. The lack of communication is real. And it's like I was talking to one GM and he's just like, looks like I'm drafting a kid, with whatever pick in the whatever round from the own aces because there's no hockey. So it's like, what does everybody do?
So do you think, like, if there's, like, let's hope that there is a season this year and these young athletes can showcase their skills. Let's just hope for that. But, do you think, like, if there's, like, let's hope that there is a season this year and these young athletes can showcase their skills. Let's just hope for that. But, do you think, like, if there's, like, let's hope that there is a season this year and these young athletes can showcase their skills. Let's just hope for that. But if there isn't, are you drafting a kid that was, the best goal scorer in, under 13 or, you know what I mean? Like, when was the last time where you actually got to see that player that you might draft?
I would not want to be a GM or a scout right now.
Man.
Because there's just no way to evaluate game situation unless you're in the States. Right, and that's the unfortunate part. Now we talked about our last guest, Michaela Grant-Mentis. Hockey Canada not giving her the love. What up, Team USA?
Right.
I wonder how many families that have that option because hockey is a sport.
That's a good point.
That might say, you want to know what?
Come down here.
We're heading down to wherever in the U.S. to see if we can use our dual citizenship or our connections or whatever to get our athlete on the ice, right? And it's. I've had conversations with a few families that are just like, might have to go to the U.S. because this is ridiculous, and I get that frustration. I get that frustration because, like I said, it's the fabric of, for as long as I can remember, weekends, all that, early mornings was hockey, not only for the athlete, but for the family.
Yeah.
So, these parents and a lot of the parents that I talk to are just like, they're jonesing more than the kids are fine.
For sure.
For the most part, the kids are fine. They're happy to be at home playing Dance Dance, Fortnite. They're happy to, and as the parents are just like, man, I need to get to that. I need to get to that arena.
For sure.
But there's also those. This is a great year. For the late bloomer. One thing that I've pointed out, stop focusing on, did I make this team? Did I make that team? Make sure you're part of the right program. You're now able to pick and choose wherever there's ice available. Like you're not strapped to your team.
Yeah.
So you can really use this time to get with the right program. Onis is what's up, and others. But I'm just saying to get with the right program and develop those skills. With other athletes to help you.
Like we were talking about, there are a lot of great programs out there. What if you're just the only show in town and you can't even accept new athletes?
And that's what's happening right now.
Like Jason Ricci from, All-Star Hockey School there. He doesn't have his program running right now. And he runs a great program.
Program.
Right? It's like, it's such a struggle, and if you could, you would have everybody out on the ice.
Everybody,
but you can't, right?
Can't.
So how are we, trying to get kids to still, get a part of a program, but the right program? But there's just very scarce programs available right now.
It's literally the lottery. It's the lottery.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's crappy for the guys and gals and other that are running the programs. How do you choose amongst a pool of who are going to be and then that's why I said it was just first come first serve. Unfortunately, some things
plus a lot of loyalties lied with those families that
were part of my program.
Right?
That are part of my 27 members.
It didn't start with 27 members.
Started with just me and my son at 5:30 in the morning.
There you go, right? And then maybe you got one or two, and you can't tell them sorry. It's hard. It's difficult.
It's difficult,
it's
but you want to know what?
Like you said.
One thing that I'm proud of is for the members that I work with as part of my program, they've been very accommodating. Yes, they would like
that
to,
helps.
and they probably could
Yeah.
buy out all the ice.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, they could just say, I'm going to take all the spots.
It's my program now.
It's my program now. But fortunately for me and the families that I work with, they realize that we need to be accommodating to everybody.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I would caution, these families, spread the love. We want to get our kid on the ice as much as possible. Sure. Me personally, I'm a guy, like we talked about last episode, I'm a guy well-rounded, you want to go to the cottage, go to the cottage. You want to play baseball, you want to play basketball, because all of those skills are interconnected. I think that they just make you a better athlete, And so, one thing I would just say is, if you can adopt that mindset where you don't need to play hockey as many days, I have families that say, I'm on the ice 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, cool. well.
Yeah.
You know,
Lucky you.
lucky
But
you,
also-
but it's also like,
Is that too much?
is
Like
that
we
too-
talked about
is that too
last
much,
episode,
right? So it's
right?
just like one thing that I would hope, you know, after families watch this episode is, you know, spread the love.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot of families that, you know, just that outing, you know, just that change. Like if they don't get that opportunity, they're stuck in their house. They're stuck in their house. So whenever there's an opportunity to share, you know, and this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Like it will. You know, this isn't the first time, you know, it's the first time that our era has gone through a pandemic. Like nobody that I know has ever been through the Spanish flu or, you know what I mean? But we will get through this. We will get through this and we'll be better off for it. We'll be better prepared and hopefully this never happens again. But just be, you know, be fair.
So kind of wrapping that up, like, you know, like we've been talking about this episode, a few good things for, you know, to battle this together and, you know, to do at home, to keep the rink rust away and just to keep your sanity, you know, communication, you know, talking amongst your family
Also
and
use this
coaches.
and also use this time. We talked about what are things that we can do to keep the rink rust away.
Yeah.
Use this time for self-reflection.
That's a good point as
You
well.
know, during the course of a normal year, you know, it's just like go. Not a lot of time to think. Right now, you should be putting together your own development plan. What are the areas that you wish to improve upon? What
Set
are areas?
some goals.
Set some goals.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things that I've learned to do in this last year is write down things. You know, writing in my book, you know, as much as possible, and you know, helping me, you know, put what's in my brain, manifest it onto paper.
For sure.
And then, you know, follow that plan that you execute. So I just think that, you know,
That's
now's
the
time.
homework.
That's the homework.
The fun
homework
is go get yourself some blades, you know, not Mars blades because they might be a little expensive, but if you have that income, get some rollerblades. It helps. It helps.
It does.
You know,
it does.
You know, I still rollerblade to this day.
I used to rollerblade, but maybe I should start again.
And I feel like, you know, rollerblades have always kind of been there. Obviously, new companies are coming up with new technology. That's just life.
That's just life.
Right?
That's
and,
just life.
You know, Played Against Sports, they're still around.
Are they?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I'm
they
sure
are,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
go to a bin where there's some
Well,
old
there's a lot of marketplaces out there now too online.
sure,
right?
yeah.
So you go Facebook Marketplace.
You don't have to
and
get top of the line, but I think, you know, stuff like that, rollerblading and, you know, working on stick handling stuff that maybe a coach or,
100%,
you know, someone,
but
a mentor showed you. Or
And on top of that, you know, really, you know, what did you not like about your game last year?
True,
you know,
yeah.
like what are things that, you know, maybe the feedback, the constructive criticism that you've received from your previous coach, parents, you know, parents don't criticize our kids.
Yeah.
You know, like be that positive support system. Because, you know, us coaches, I would hope, are going to correct, you know, the things that need to be corrected.
For sure.
So we just need our parents to, you know, love their kids, support the coach, and help be a part of that development in the right way. In the right way.
A lot of good stuff talked about there, man. Yeah. And, you know, like you said, I would hate to be a GM of...
a junior team.
Or maybe even say this year you got first overall.
Well, how do you even know if you got first overall?
No, but I'm just saying, like, right? It's like,
I know.
If they do a lottery,
I was talking,
what are you going to pick?
I was talking to a GM who said that he has like 4 picks in the first like 90 picks or something.
What do I do?
He's like, what do I, eeny, meeny, who's that kid? Where'd you see him?
So
back in Adam?
200 goals in Timbit hockey? Let's get him.
But here's the other thing though. You have, you know, the WHL who has a bantam draft.
That's right, yeah.
Right? So, like, there's the kid out playing in the WHL. That was the...
I saw a 15-year-old.
15-year-old, double-ender.
Sorry,
Bedard is the last name, I think, the last name. And he has 10 points in 6 games, 5 and 5.
That's right.
You know?
I did see that.
You know, so...
Is it Connor, too? No.
It might be, yeah, Connor. Yeah, Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Sorry, I might be saying the last name wrong, but I think it is Connor Bedard. And he's lighting it up out there.
Jamie, can we get ask our producer?
Can we ask our producer there?
The name of. But yeah, no. What you're saying is.
But what I'm trying to say is, you know, somebody had to scout that kid years ago, or well, you know, what would have been years ago, to get them into the league, right?
sure.
So I wonder, and I don't know this, and maybe I should ask my contacts.
Yeah.
Do they have a book on, let's say, the 2007s right now?
Right?
Or did they have a book on
Or
the
the
2006s?
Yeah,
from
because-
because I wonder. I wonder, because that would be an invaluable tool to help them pick.
Wouldn't want to be a GM
I
or a
wouldn't want to be a
scout right
GM
now.
or a scout right now.
Well, that was a great topic, man. And yeah, you shared a lot of insight on it. And I think, what hit home for me, and I don't know, I can't speak for our viewers or our audience, but communication, man, that's key.
everything.
Like,
It's everything.
just that one call from you could just mean the world, or it might not. But it's just
it's
you
just
put it
something
out there,
for me. For me, I wish, the reason why I am the way that I am, I think it's based off the experiences that I didn't receive.
Yes.
And I wish that I would have had, either the courage or the conviction to talk more with my coach. I was always, scared of the coaches, and I wish that there would have been a little bit more of that communication between me and my coaching throughout my career. It wasn't until Steve Cathcart, shout out Steve Cathcart, where I felt comfortable with the coach, and then also in Halifax with Al McAdam when I was the captain there, but co-captain with David Bryan.
Okay,
Throw out Brian Z. What's up, Briner? But I think that it's extremely important. It's extremely important, man. It's just you have to communicate.
those conversations
You have to.
Yes.
Because how else are we going to develop? We don't know what we don't know. You can't just, and hockey is so expensive. Like, if I'm a parent that has a son that plays hockey, I don't coach him. I train him, so I have to pay somebody. So I'm also, paying the exuberant. My program's not cheap either.
And you got to make sure you're paying the right guy.
You have to make sure you're paying the right guy. But
develop
my
your
whole
son's
point
skills.
my whole point is, if there's none of that communication, and even I can be better. I can be better at communicating with families, and anybody that watches this, I think that I do a pretty good job. But there's obviously families that, unfortunately, I'm a busy guy. I'm not trying to say that nobody else is busy, but it's not intentional.
For sure.
And that's one thing that I had to realize in getting into this role, fielding all of these phone calls for people that are, rightfully or wrongfully, whether it's just because they want to get on the ice or they're trying to make a team or whatever the case may be. I used to always get mad at Nathaniel. Nathaniel Brooks. I used to call him, voicemail, all the time, even to this day, because that's how busy it gets. So that's why the communication is everything.
That actually makes me feel better, because I've been wondering why I call Rain, and I get the voicemail.
Every time you call, I just do that because I don't want to talk to you. I'm not even busy. I'm just like, you want to know what? This guy's going to be trying to script this, script that. I like to do a little freestyle, and I just like wasting your time.
We got the next guest.
We got this, we got that. And just like, what is this guy jabbing her?
That's my role, the mama goose, right? Mama bear, whatever you want to call me. I like to play that role, I guess.
Okay.
But, going back to Halifax, talking about, co-captains and stuff, we're going to segue that into our next segment, penalty
or part of the game. Penalty or part of the game.
All right, so penalty or part of the game. This week's topic: letters on jerseys.
Bum, bum, bum.
We're talking more in the junior minor level,
Yep.
Usually a lot of NHL teams have their A's and their C's. They put that leadership on their players. So we're talking a
Well,
little bit more.
the Leafs, it wasn't until a year of Johnny T. There were no A's, there's no C's, there's no nothing.
It kind of does relate to
It
the
relates to
NHL
everything.
as
It
well.
relates to
But,
everything. It relates to everything.
I want to ask more about,
Minor hockey.
Yeah, minor hockey, because, the kids are young and could be a lot of pressure. So
Oh, we know which way he's leaning, huh?
let me ask you first,
Yes.
Letters on jerseys, penalty or part of the game?
I'm definitely going to have to say that it is definitely a part of the game. And it drives me nuts when, I talk to coaches and our team on the Flyers, me and Nathaniel, we used to go like, yo, who's going to be the captain? Who's going to be the assistant captain? Like, I was so excited at the beginning of the year, and he's like, nobody. And I'm like, what? What do you mean nobody? He's like, we want to make sure that we get the group and all this. Interesting. I don't
Nathaniel didn't like to have a captain. He didn't like letters on their jersey.
Wow.
And I didn't know that.
And as somebody, and maybe it was because Nathaniel was never a captain or assistant in minor hockey growing up. I don't know.
Wow.
I just told you, I love you, bro. I love you.
Brooksy.
But here's the thing, though.
Wow.
I've always, in minor hockey, anyways, I've always been captain or assistant. You know, fun fact, I've actually had the C stolen from me 2 times. I got the C stolen, or not stolen from me. Anthony Stewart deserved the C.
Okay,
right?
Stewie.
And then Graham Williamson on the Don Mills Flyers, he was a good player, but he stole my
But
C.
wait, did you get an A?
Yeah, of course.
A's okay. What? A's.
Well, no, of course.
See,
It's
that's
part
what
of
I'm
the
talking
it's
about.
It's a part of the leadership group. But
Okay.
for me, it was so important, and I just think that it empowers kids. It gives them something to strive for, and it teaches them, how to handle that responsibility instead of, being like nobody's getting a letter. And then you have everybody jockeying for position. Sometimes roles are important, and I'm not the one that's picking the captain. I'm not the one that's picking the assistant. I want it to be a team vote that has clear parameters as to what leadership looks like, right? So it goes back to that development piece. What does leadership look like? Is it the guy that's scoring, celebrating by himself with the big over-the-top celly like I used to do sometimes? Or is it the guy that leads by example, or the gal that leads by example, or other that leads by example that doesn't, say anything, and sometimes it's the guy or gal or other that is the jovial person in the room that keeps the glue together. Maybe not the guy gal or the athlete that's going to run up the score and get point night every night. Like sometimes leaders are glue people that keep everybody together, and I think that it's important personally to have letters on jerseys, and anybody that doesn't have it is just like,
Safe to say it's part of the game for a Rain.
part of the game. What about you?
Well, so here's the thing.
Oh, here we
Okay,
go.
I was like you. I was a captain of most of my teams. I have that mama goose,
Captain or assistant?
Sometimes I don't think I either didn't have a letter or I was the C. All right? That was it. All right, I was never an assistant. But yeah, I kind of have that role, so I did believe that. When I first kind of got into coaching, I had that mentality like, oh, who's the captain? Who's the C? I was excited like you said you were. But after kind of following the lead of my coaching staff and kind of learning how they run things, and just like Brooksy, he didn't want to have a letter on the jersey. I think it's a penalty to have a letter on the jersey at such a young age, because you're kind of just putting a target on their sweater. Not on their back, but yeah, on their back.
And this is why it's a penalty.
We heard you're part of the game, and I'm gonna say my penalty, and you want to refute it, go for it. But what I'm saying is, you're kind of just putting that kid out there and being like, yeah, that's our best player, that's our guy, that's our leader. So what happens when you in a war, you fight an army, you kill the leader? What happens? You defeat the army. So maybe the other team's like,
I wish I was coaching in the 06 loop if that's his philosophy.
Let's take down the leader and let's hammer him. Let's get him off his game. Maybe the troops will fall. And, I just feel that, that was a bit of an eye-opener because, like I said, I did think that letters and on jerseys were part of the game. But then once I kind of was taught the reasons why these coaches didn't want to do it, I kind of had a good understanding of it. Not to say though, so like you said, 06 loop, we're going into a big year, draft year, and stuff for these kids. I do feel now is a time to kind of present a letter to your players.
But I thought, Britton, that you just said that you didn't want to put a letter on the jersey because it would be a target. And if you take down the leader, then the whole troops go down. Now you're saying you're going to put a target in the biggest year. They've never had a letter on their jersey if they've been a part of your program. Now in their biggest year, in a normal year, you're going to put this big spotlight.
I just feel that,
right on their chest.
Especially the things we talked about, times, in the lockdown and stuff and not being able to play seasons, those kids are kind of deserving some recognition, and that might help too, right? So, not everyone could get a letter, unfortunately, but,
Or could they? Because there's also programs, there are also teams that have, the Velcro and the floating letters, right? And that was something that I talked about with a parent today, because they're asking what the segment's going to be about, and I talked about leadership and all that, and letters on jerseys.
So you're giving away our show, but okay.
I'm not giving away the show. I just
giving all the meat and bones to our show, or meat and
by
potatoes.
me telling them that we're talking about leadership. but his perspective was, he thought that it was a part of the game. And one thing that they did with their program was they had the magnetic letters, and every game
switched.
They would switch
That's
it.
a good idea.
They would switch it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and what they did was a captain and 3 A's, and it was a team vote. It was a player vote, and that's the thing too, right? You'd be surprised when you have young athletes empowered with making that leadership choice.
But does it become a popularity contest?
Well,
is
that's
it the
why
funniest kid who gets to see? Or,
well, and that's why you have to have clear boundaries, and then you also have to have an oversight committee of coaches.
For sure.
Right?
No, he ain't getting it.
Like everybody would have voted for you, and I would have been the coach, and I would have been like, yo, these guys are blind. I would have scrapped that real quick.
Well, another good point for it to be a penalty is also, a lot of the time when there's a play that, the refs need to discuss with the coaches, something happened, a goal that they're taking back or something, and you need a player with a letter to go approach the refs.
Right.
Not having a letter on the jersey almost gives you the allowance to let any player approach them and then come bring you that message. So say all your letters are on your bench and we need to know what the ref is discussing, and they're taking back one of our goals. We don't have to be like, you get off the bench, go tell, we just be like, hey, go ask them. And the ref looks, no one has letters. He has to tell them.
Why does the ref have to tell him anything? Or her anything? They don't have to tell the player anything if they don't want to, right? So at the end of the day, I think, that whole, ideology of, the captain being the best player on the team, that's not always the case, I thought that I was the best player on a lot of the teams that I played on, and I wasn't the captain, right? So there are, different, different things that, athletes, if you're empowering your team to pick your leadership group with an oversight committee of the coaches, or if it's the coaches that are picking the leadership group, everybody's different. What you and your staff might look for in your leadership group going into this year might be different. Like I might look at your leaders this year and be like, that's who you guys have as your captain and assistants, right? Because I would never do that, and vice versa, So it's all, for me, I think that, I want to empower our kids, and to answer your question about the target on the back, I had a letter on, we scout before, for me and Nathaniel and our staff last year, we were pre-scouting before we were playing those teams. So we already knew whether you had a letter or not, who your best player is. There's number 15, there's number 7, there's number 2. Those are the best players. Do they have letters? I don't know.
Well, you didn't need a letter because you're a big kid, so you already had a target on your back. We knew we couldn't miss you out there.
Oh, that's true.
Unless I thought you were an instructor or something. I don't know.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I guess I could see your point a little bit, but like I said,
I could kind of see.
I kind of started with that mentality too. but I guess, the coaching staff that I worked with, they kind of have influenced me, but I saw their point of view. It's not like I was like, all right, I got to listen to them. Obviously, I'm my own person. I'm going to have these conversations. But I bought into what they're kind of selling.
And listen, I bought into what Nathaniel was selling last year.
Sure.
Even though I disagreed.
Now you're going to do something different.
Now I'm the captain of the ship.
Hey, look at me now. I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now. So but having said that, leaders have to show leadership qualities. I'm not just going to give out letters or have a team vote if I haven't, thought that there's a leadership group amongst the group that sets themselves apart, that's bringing everybody with them, right? Like, I don't want anybody that's setting themselves apart and staying apart from the rest of the crowd. I want people that are setting themselves apart from the crowd and pulling the crowd with them. That is the leadership that I'm looking for. And that's what I hope to be able to reward if we can get back to playing some hockey.
Yeah. Before going though, I'll say certain ages, I think, leadership, they can't. What age is like for a good leader? Like, can you be a 10-year-old and hey guys, to be honest, when I did have a C at a young age, I felt uncomfortable telling my peers. Like, he's looking at me like, buddy, go sit down.
And that's a great point. Like, I was a young captain.
Yeah.
Like, it's my first year in AAA novice. I was the captain of the Canadians, and I think it got to my head too.
Yeah.
And like, I was also, not the nicest.
Maybe it's a little penalty-ish, a little part of the game-ish. So maybe we're in between.
I think it's age dependent. I think it's age
yeah.
dependent. I think in the beginning there has to be, maybe not in the first few years.
For sure.
Until but what's that age?
Exactly.
It's all subjective.
Yeah. We don't know.
So please comment, penalty, part of the game.
Let us know
what you guys think. Because we care.
We care. We always care.
We always care. Be love.
Be love.
Be love.
Rainbow. Looking for that pot of gold.
Always have it in the back of my pocket.
Guys, thanks for joining us.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Talked about some more good stuff and more good stuff to come.
What do we have coming up?
We have
what's going on with our next episode?
Joey Graffa. Great talent, great guy. I played some pickup hockey with him, and he was literally a water bug. Like
Kitchener Ranger, Ottawa 67.
Kitchener Ranger, Ottawa 67.
Parkdale Flame.
Oh, he started as a Parkdale Flame.
Parkdale Flame.
Him and Kairu.
Ooh, Jordan Kairu.
They were, I think they were season A's. And they're in August.
So that's part of the game.
That's Parkdale, all right? They just throw a letter on everybody. But, he's going to be a guest on our show. Great guy. Had the pleasure of, becoming friends with him and close with him. And, he's doing his thing out in, I don't know where he is. We'll find out where he is. But he signed a deal with the San Jose affiliates.
The Barracudas, I think they're called.
The Barracudas, I think. Yeah, that's right. Yep. The AHL team. So... Yep. We'll catch up with him. We'll see where he's at now. Has he made the show yet? I don't know. I haven't talked to him. He's like you. He doesn't pick up my calls anymore. So we'll have him on the show and a couple more topics to go through. And man, thanks for talking.
Please subscribe. Hit us up on our Instagram, Twitter.
This side. It's this side.
No, I thought it was over here. It's that side for sure. So, down here. Behind us.
At Part of the Game on Instagram. At Part of the Game 7 on Twitter. At Part of the Game 7 on TikTok. And our YouTube channel, Part of the Game. All our links are here. And our sponsor, Own Aces. Thank you again. You're getting through these episodes for us with that little bit of funding, and I appreciate it.
No problem.
It helps pay for all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
And producer Rob.
Our logos, Phil Frere, who did the logo. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
and,
guys.
Andrew Druzy. Andrew Melo.
Wagwan Druzy.
Ryerson alum right now.
Okay,
He's out there
okay.
doing his thing, and he's editing for us. And, of course, our amazing director and producer, Robbie Soul, behind the scenes.
Robbie Soul.
You guys don't get to see him, but he makes all the magic happen.
With
And
the moving cameras and
moving
everything.
cameras and the sweat magically going away and the wardrobe changes. Robbie Soul makes all that happen.
Hey,
so,
always prepared. I know I'm a big boy and I fit, so I bring multiple different wardrobes.
He
Okay,
does, he
veteran
does.
over here. Veteran. Don't worry, eventually we'll get some AC in here as we start to build
get
a
the
following.
landlord to pay the
And
bill.
once we start getting a following, we'll get the landlord to pay the bills. And we'll get some AC and some fans in here, and I won't have to have 13 different outfits for the show.
Guys, thanks.
Love you
Checking
guys.
us out.
Be love, rainbow, pot of gold. You guys been great.
Check you later.